All right, so picking up from where I left off on Tuesday, I think we had just finished getting the style guide palettes done. I did make the palettes responsive. I did not make the title responsive, which now that I'm looking at it, maybe we will do that. I got as far as the tertiary colors. I need to do the status colors and then organize and do all the special stuff that we need to do for the font examples. And then we'll do the icons. So hopefully we'll get to that today. Alex, why don't you be done eating and then get your mask on and you can eat after class. All right. So are there any questions before we get started with that? Nobody? Okay. All right. All right, so I'm just going to pick up from there. If you didn't watch the video from Tuesday, watch the video from Tuesday. Definitely refer back to that. Your structure does not need to be exactly the same as mine, but it will be helpful if it is at least similar. Yeah. As watching the video on Tuesday probably showed you. You can do your first pass at building out the HTML structure, but then as you go to do CSS, you're going to figure out there's probably a few things you forgot or some things you need to kind of change or add to. As always, all of your CSS needs to be in a CSS folder or file. You shouldn't be doing any CSS in the browser at all. Okay. I'm going to get that other light off just to make it easier for. I don't know if that helps this screen. We'll see if that helps. Maybe. Either way, there's a recording. Okay. Let's see where we left off here. So tertiary stuff, I'm going to inspect it. I like to have my inspector up while I'm working on this stuff. At the same time, it gives me a very clear idea of where everything is and kind of where I left off. All right, so this palette class status, here with palette, is it just, what am I giving? So it's the group within it, this div class SWGP that I'm giving the display flex to. Okay, and then so what I did is I forgot to group these three divs into that SWGP div, so swatch group div. So let's come down to, let's see, tertiary is finished. I'm just going to collapse these because I'm done with them. Secondary is finished. Primary is finished. We're working on status. So these three right here, I'm going to select all of them. And remember, it's very important to select everything past this little icon, these ellipses icon here. That's an indication that there's content inside of this collapsed group, or collapsed div, right? Just telling us that, hey, there's stuff in there. We're going to indent that one, come back up to the line above it, tab in. Oops. This is going to be a sibling of that H3, so we'll say div, is it an ID swatch group? No, class swatch group. Swatch group. Come down there. Oh, interesting. There's the div for this one. Oh. Okay. Apparently I had a floaty div. Oh, no, I don't. That one needs to get indented. This one. There we go. So I had some extra divs there that I need to make sure got closed. Okay, so now that's in swatch group. So if I go back to my page and I reload it, these should be horizontal now. Hey, they're horizontal. Great. But then inside of them, inside of each of these swatches, I need to grab ST1, ST2, ST3, and set them up as having colors. And that's just down here, just like these divs that we set up here. The T1s and for the tertiaries. I'm going to copy all those. And then I'm going to come in and change this one to ST, ST2, ST3. So status 1, status 2, status 3. And then we can come back to our, oh yeah, don't forget to open up your XD document. Like I did. All right. Load it. Great. I'm going to dump it over here, right there. I like to have these. Oops. There we go. Okay, so we want to grab these colors here. Great. Paste that in there. Paste that in there. And grab this one. Paste that in there. Oops. So that is going to give us our background colors, right? But then we also need to change. Oh, I already changed my labels. That's great. All right, so my labels are already changed. Make sure those are consistent. Refresh it. Boom, we got it. Make sense? We figured out the structure earlier. Some things I'm noticing is like this padding is maybe a little too much here. The padding right here is a little much. So we'll grab my targeter and kind of see what is that. Oh, that's margin. So what we're going to do is add to F label. We're going to change the margin settings for F label. So let's find our F label. If you end up writing, like I'm already at about 100 lines, a little over 100 lines for my CSS. As you start writing CSS, you're going to end up, not on this project, but there are projects where you end up in the thousands. Okay. A good way to jump around and try to find stuff is if you find your class, your ID, and your HTML, just come over here and do a Command F for find, and just type in whatever it is, like ID ST3. And it will go through and it will find all those ST3s. Make sure you have clicked into your CSS file to make that the active search file. What did I say I was looking for? F label. So I'm going to look for F label. Oops. Label. No? Is there not F label? Label. How do I not have a label? ID label? What? Have I not written anything for my label? I have not written anything for my label yet. Oh, I thought I had. Okay. Well, you can put this wherever you want to put it. Then, so let's go PIDF label. And then here's where we're going to set our margin. So our margin right now, what is the margin for this? It's at 16, which is 1 rem. I want to change my top margin especially to be different than that. What is this one? This is just an H3. I'll probably change my bottom margin, mostly because status goes with this group, primary goes with this group, etc. There's too much space right here. So we want to change that. So let's change our top margin for our labels to be, it's at 1, so let's go 0.5 rems, and 0, 0, 0. You could also just write this as margin top, 0.5 rem, and see how it tightens up. That looks really good. We have a problem here though on these, because there's 2 of them. That bottom is kind of messed up. So what I'm going to do is say something along the lines of like, these all share the same class. We could give these a special ID that are in this group so that they take off the bottom padding or bottom margin, and that leaves the rest of these alone. Or you could take off, actually, what happens when we just take off bottom margin too? So let's go margin bottom, 5 rem, 5 rem. Brings that status up quite a bit. And it looks better for these. That feels a little tight. But let's take that H3 off. I'm doing this all in the browser right now just to kind of see how it feels. Let's go margin bottom. It's at 1.5 rems right now. It's 20 pixels, so we'll go, let's go 0.5. I like that a lot better, but I feel like there needs to be more at the top. Margin top. We could just put this on palette. I feel like maybe we need to stick it on palette. Yeah, let's put this on palette. This palette is getting all that margin. Oh, palette's getting its dimensions from the margin that on top of the H3s. So we could just add more there. The problem is that it's going to make more space here. Well, let's try it. Margin top. It's at 1.5. Let's make it margin top 2 rem. That really didn't. 3 rem. That's okay. There's definitely too much space there. So if we do that, then maybe what we need to do is take the bottom margin off of this H2. And your mileage is going to vary with this. Yeah, that's better. This is just what I'm doing. So let me look at the changes that I made here in my summary screen so I can copy them over. So F label has margin bottom 0.25. So there's a margin bottom 0.25. Remember, writing it out explicitly like this, margin top, margin bottom, is the same thing as writing margin 0.5, 0, 0.25, rem, and then 0. That's the same. Those things are being written out exactly the same. It's just saying 0 for left and right, and then 0.5 rems for the top and 0.25 for the bottom. Another change I made was div palette H3. So I can just do a search for my H3. Find it. Div palette H3. Here we go. Where did I say it was? Margin. Actually, we can just copy these. Copy them. Paste them. Oops. Make sure you indent correctly. That's my next one that I did. H2. So let's find my H2, add that in, save it, come back, refresh the page, and okay, great. This spacing, of course, is all messed up now because I haven't really done anything to it, but hey, my color palette looks great. That's what I want it to look like. Why didn't that? Now I'm wondering why the rules that we wrote for color palette up here. Oh, because I did section colors H2. Could just do class column M H2. That would actually make more sense. So I'm going to change this section colors H2 to section class call M H2. And what that's going to do is it's going to change. It's going to make the H2 for typography and the H2 for icons share the same characteristics as the H2 for color palette, which is what we want to have happen. So there's typography. Oh, I didn't add icons in on the HTML yet. Okay, great. That's what I wanted to happen. There does maybe need to be, well, we'll mess with it in a minute. There needs to be a little bit more space there. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and collapse all of the colors section so I can focus on the typography section. Okay, so we have a group, the TyGP class that we need to address. Everything in the type group needs to be have flex applied to it. So let's go div class tyGroup, and we'll say display flex. Oops. Flex. We do need to apply a width to it. I want that entire type group to be 100% of its parent, so it fits that entire column. Then we can do justify content space between, kind of stop there, come back, refresh, see what happens. All right, so this is what we want. It should look like this. This should be pretty squished. Now that's totally fine. It's because we didn't define widths for any of these internal groups here. So we didn't define for font X, head X, and body X. So what we're going to do is probably give all of these a third, give them same amount of space. Let me look at my document here and to kind of decide if it's what I did here. That's pretty much what I did. This definitely has more space than a third, and this has less. 396, 476, 622. Oh, what? So that makes that, what is 1920? 476 divided by 16, I think it's 1695. It's 28%. And 396. I'm just trying to figure out roughly ratios here. So 28, 20. So maybe these are both 25%. And then, or maybe I can do 30. We'll just do 25 for both of these. And then this one was 622. So 622 divided by 1695 gives us 36%. So we could do 25, 25, and 40. And then that gives us 90% total for the content width with 5% of width for that spacing in between. You guys follow that math? It's a lot of numbers. Do you understand what we're doing though? Like figuring out this width and this width and this width, add those together in percentages, right? Of this interior spacing that they are, which is, I think, I'm remembering from Tuesday, and I think it was 1695, was like the 80%. If I grab the group, so yeah, roughly 1694, 695. The reason I'm doing that is to make it so that the ratios when we go to the CSS are roughly the same. They don't have to be exact and precise. Like you don't need to create it exactly the same in HTML and CSS, but it needs to be close, right? It needs to look proportional. Okay, so 25, 25, and 40. That just gives us a total of 90%, right? And I just know that there's two margins here, so I divide that remaining 10, and that gives me 5% here and 5% here, which it's going to do automatically because we said justify content with the space between, right? That space between will just be whatever's left over from their widths. So I know that I need to give font X and head X a width of 25% and body X a width of 40%. So let's do that. So we're going to say div ID font X width 25%. And then we'll say, actually we can double up font X and head X. So just by doing this, div font X, comma, div head X, gives them both the same characteristic. And then we say div ID body X, 40%, oops, width 40%. So now if we go and look, boom, right? It does our nice spacings for us. It's great. Because we use the same, what am I trying to say? We use the same spacings for everything, or same IDs for both the serif and the sans serif. It's applying to both groups simultaneously, which is awesome. One thing that is a little goofy is that for the overall group, you'll see that only the body is aligned with the top of the group, right? That header is not because it has margin. This one isn't because it has margin. We're going to fix all that very soon here. Okay. All right, so that was pretty easy. Let's then start working on this, and we'll do the right sizing and spacing. We could grab that overall group. What is the overall? Open sans. We could tell tie group to have some margin to push it away from that typography, but I think we're going to align everything else first. So this PID effects. Let's go PID effects. This is my font example. Let's go to my XD document. How big is this person, or this one? This is 400. If you try to do 400 pixels, which is 25 rems, if I'm doing the math right, it's going to be gigantic. All right, I'll show you what I mean. So we'll say font size, 25 rems. I think I'm doing that math right? 25 times 16, yeah, 400. Refresh. Okay, save, then refresh. It is huge. Humongous. Breaks that 25% width, okay? Don't want to do that. So you're not going to use the exact same pixel size, right? One thing we could do is we could start going down in increments. Like, let's try 15. I like 15, that's a good size. Notice it has a gigantic amount of margin, right? So we are going to take that off. We're going to say margin 0. Didn't do what I wanted it to do. Why not? PID effects a. There we go. Okay. Phew. Okay. So that took the margin off. The line height is still super high. So let's change line height as well. Line height is usually set to auto, which is generally like 1.5% or 150% of the font size. So let's just go, like, I think I have my font size 15 rems. Let's go like 10 rems just to start. Okay, definitely not enough, but we have it in here now, so we can start playing around with it in the browser and just see where we can get. 13's not bad. What does that do for us here? Is that giving us? What I'm looking for is yeah, okay, that gives us a bounds that is pretty close to what the actual bounds are. If we try to go any lower on that, 10 probably pushes us. Oh, 10's right at the top. But notice the bounds don't align with the bottom of the type, right? You're always going to have that problem. It's going to move. It's moving from like a center line of the div, and then adding to both the top and the bottom. So you can either align the top or the bottom. My recommendation is to align the align the top, and then just add padding on the bottom to adjust it. So like if we add padding bottom to visually adjust it, that'll push that down a bit, that next item down. Could even do like padding 1 rem. Yeah, and so by adjusting the line height and adding that padding, we get spacing around it that actually fits the visual bounds of the type example, like the A's. Does that make sense to everybody? You're not going to get your div, which is the blue, the shaded blue area. You're not going to get that div to exactly match type. It's just not how it works. You just have to accept it. There's no reason for it. It's just not how it works. Okay. So what I recommend doing, and this goes for all web design, always align to the top, right? Because your bottoms are infinite. Your bottoms can scroll and just be as big as you want. So that means your top is your anchor, always. Okay. So use your top as your point of reference. Align your stuff to the top, and then add padding, especially on stuff like this. Add padding to get essentially a visual grouping or a bounds to that element that is visually consistent. It's not consistent in the code, right? When we look at it like this, you're like, well, that dotted line doesn't show up it's not aligning with the bottom of the type. You're not going to get that. Don't worry about it. Add some padding. Don't add margin, and padding. Margin pushes other stuff away. Padding pushes from the bounds in generally. Padding is very weird. The differences between margin and padding are usually interchangeable. Like you can use them interchangeably, but there are different times when you want to use different things. In this example, because we're messing with how spacing is working internally to the div, we want to use padding. Okay. If we were messing with spacing externally, then we would want to use margin. It makes more sense as you get more familiar with it. All right, but that looks pretty good. I'm going to try to keep my spacings consistent. So like I have half a rem of space between this label and its example. I want roughly half a rem of visual space here, which is what I have. So that works. That works. This is tight, but we're going to fix that. But right now, if we look at that, the top of the big A aligns with the type of the lorem ipsum, which is what I want. Now I just need to get heading to align. So we'll come to headx, we'll grab that head one, and you'll see that has a bunch of margin at the top, and we're just going to take that off. So this is my headx h1. So I'm going to go div id headx h1. I'm sorry, space h1 because it's like a grandchild. We're going to say margin 0. Let's go margin top 0 because we want to keep the bottom margin. Boom. Now all of that should be aligned. Yeah, that's all pretty much aligned. That looks good. So then I'm going to come back up to my class tie group up here. I'm going to say margin top. No, not left. Ugh. My pinky cannot find that dash. Margin top, and we'll just start with like 2 rems. Moves it down. What did I do for my spacings here? What is this space? Margin top is 3 rems. Okay, so we'll do 3 rems. We want to keep them consistent, remember? 3 rems. Great. But now there's about as much visual space between this item and this item, which is not exactly what we want. So we'll come back to, that's my color palettes, section colors, section type. We're going to add some margin to section type here. I do have it set to, maybe we'll just add it to the H2. So my bottom margin is set to that. Let's go 2 rems. Whoa, not what I wanted. What was it by default? It's been 3 rems. Let's go 4 rems then. There we go. 4 rems gives us more space, which is good. So we'll go 4 rems, margin top. So add that onto our H2. Let's find our H2. Margin top 4 rems. Boom. Oh, but that did mess that up. Interesting. Interesting. See, so that's how, this is a good example of how sometimes you'll make a change further up in your HTML and it screws up everything else. Oh, because that's what happened. I didn't add didn't save the padding on effects, did I? Nope, I didn't. Line 128. Padding bottom. I have no idea what I did. I don't remember. 2 rems looks good. Let's keep 2 rems. Okay. What did I do for the? Oh, they're all italic. That's right. So why? Oh, because I just didn't write anything for plabel, did I? Flabel. All right. I didn't do anything for flabel, so we're gonna do that now. Let's go font weight. This is 300, I believe. Font style is italic, and I think that's it. There we go. There we go. There we go. Too much space here, and my headings are not the right size. So let's go to our document. 80 is what I have for this. Probably not what I want for that, but let's find it. This is my headx H1. Font size. Let's try 5 rems and just go with that. This is 80. Oh, this is 80. This is 80 pixels. So we'll just do it and we'll see. It's too big. But it's in there now. Let's grab it and kind of just step it down here. Let's try 4 rems. Let's try 3 rems. 3 rems is pretty good. Let's do 3. 3 rems. All right, 3 rems. We do div headx h2. We're going to leave our margin the same. We'll change our font size. And we'll just call it 2 rems. We're just putting these in now. Headx h3 font size, and we'll call this 1.5 rems. All right, reload it. A little bit bigger. That's all great. figure out what's going on with the spacing here. Well, that's margin on the bottom of everything, so let's get rid of that. So we can say margin bottom. We'll call it 0.25 rems just to start. And then we'll just copy that line, come down here, enter, paste, oops. Paste it, and make sure your indentations line up. Paste it, save it, go back to your page, refresh. That tightens it up quite a bit, which looks better. There's probably some margin at the top of this that is also adding to it. Yeah, that's that 0.5. So I have like 0.75 rem going on right here, which is a little much. We could get rid of the margin bottom on these. We could just say margin bottom 0. I'm going to copy it, paste it, save it. Keep coming here. Refresh it. Did I save it? I did save it. Doesn't look like it really did anything. Didn't really, oh, because line height. The line height is bigger. Yeah. So notice the line height for these H. Oh, it's matching the G's. Okay, never mind. All right, that's not bad. That looks fine. Okay. The rest of these look okay. This stuff obviously needs to get changed. Did I organize these correctly? I did. All right, so bmisc is a group. Let's scroll up here. bmisc is a group. I want these to be side by side, so I need to give bmisc a width of 100%, and then tell b inline and b button to be 50% each. So we'll say div ID. Let's scroll down so I can see it in the HTML. bmisc, div ID bmisc, width 100%, display flex, justify content space between, and then give width to b button with, we'll call it 49%. And actually we can just do a comma, and div ID b inline. Okay, refresh that. Now they're side by side, which is perfect. I just need to play with the spacings on here, so that is probably just margin at the bottom of that paragraph tag, which it is. So then we can come into here and say div ID bb but oh whoops button, there we go. Div ID b inline. Sorry, I want the paragraph tag for both of these. Then we will say margin bottom 0. Okay, and then we need to target those paragraph tags separately, so we'll do button P, and this is to change the color. Oops, color is the FF. Oh, the button color is, sorry, 71CEFF. And div ID be inline, P is color FF 7171. Okay. Yikes. Oh, crud. Right, so I didn't tell label to always be black, so let's find label again. F label. F. Oh, label. Find. Let's tell label to always be black. Still didn't work. PID F label always black. Interesting. No, that works. What's happening is that it's treating the specific be inline paragraph to be a more specific instruction than the ID on the actual paragraph tag, which it shouldn't. Usually the specific ID for that element. So what happens if we target that specific? Let's do div ID be inline p ID f label and tell this to be color black. That should overwrite it. Yeah, okay. So this overrides it because this is a very specific drilling. That's like the most, not the most specific you can get with it, but that is a very specific declaration of like which thing in the HTML we are trying to target. So we can also then do comma div button p ID f label. Leave that like that. And we'll do it to both of them. There we go. Okay. All right. But what I do want is on bmisc, I want to add a little bit of padding or margin to the top of bmisc. Let's go margin top, and we'll say 1.5 rems, just to give a little bit of space there. All right. So this is pretty close to how it looks here. Ooh, except that label should be way up there. And that's what I want. It doesn't have to align on the bottom. These kind of do align on the bottom. That was just a happy accident. There's obviously more space here. You're going to find that that's going to be the case in a lot of instances. Don't stress it. And then especially as we like stretch, you see how it breaks it. That's not something we're going to address right now, but it is something we will address. Okay. We can actually address it pretty easily just by turning on flex wrap. Actually, let's just do that. Let's do flex wrap for the tie group, tie GP class, which I wrote way up here. So we'll say flex wrap, nope, not wrap reverse, but wrap. So what happens there is as we get smaller and they touch each other, they should move down to the bottom, but they're not. Why are you not doing that? Flex wrap wrap? Yeah. Why are you not doing that? Double width at 25 and 25 and 40. That's interesting. With flex wrap turned on, it should push down to the bottom, but it's not. Curious. Huh. All right, well, I'll have to think about that one. Let's add type group margin. It's not a lot of margin there. Let's add a little bit more margin to Roboto to add to that group there, just to push it down just a bit. I think, what do I have here? This is 56, yes, but what is this? It's more than 64. 51, 64, so it's like 105. Let's just add more space there. So way down here, we're going to put a line. We're going to call it div ID Roboto, and we're just going to say margin top. We'll add like 3 rem to it just to see what that looks like. Yikes. Oh, it does, that does override the type group margin. Okay, good. So let's go 6 rem. It gives us more breathing room, which is good. Yeah, that's pretty good. You do need to change your labels. Like my labels are the same. These should say Roboto. So I'm going to close my Open Sans group, come into my Roboto one, and just change that one. So here's a trick. If you highlight something in your HTML in Atom, and you want to highlight all the other examples of that preceding or succeeding it, like coming after it, just hit Command D. That duplicates it. Duplicates that selection. Right? So it'll find the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and that's the last one. And then you can just type in what you want to replace it with. So I can change all of those very quickly. Okay. Refresh. Now they all say Roboto, which they should. I don't think this is an example of Roboto. Oh, no, it's not. That looks sans serif. So now I need to go through and make sure that I have all of these as Roboto. So I need to do div ID Roboto, change. Let's see, where are you getting your font family from? You're getting it from section call M. So if I say div ID Roboto, font family Roboto, it should change everything in there to Roboto that isn't explicitly set to Open Sans. So we'll do div ID Roboto, and we'll say font family Roboto serif. Great. Ah, but it changed my IP labels, didn't it? Oh, because I didn't. So 108. Come back up to my P label, or F label, and tell this to always be font family Open Sans serif. Changes those back. Great. But everything else is an example of Roboto. Like that should be Roboto. Cool, Roboto serif. That should be Roboto. Okay, excellent. Everything else is Roboto serif. Does that make sense? How I did that? Okay, cool. Notice how quickly we were able to do the rest of it once we got the first one done, right? Because we set up the HTML to have the same classes and same IDs, right? Because it has a similar structure, there's no reason to target this one specifically if you can set them up to have the same structure and then just write rules pertaining to that structure. So, all right, icons. Let's do the icon portion of it, which I don't have written in here yet, so let's do it. Do have an icons class. What did I do for the, just an H2? Yeah, H2 icons. So let's go H2 icons. Icons is an HTML element, so be wary using it. I did use it as an ID. Should probably be okay. I don't think it's going to cause us any issues. Could. All right, I need to make sure that I do the icons. If you don't want to have to make sure that your HTML is in the right case, you can always, like, if you know you're going to have something that is going to be a specific case, like I know that my H2s under column M here are always going to be a certain case, so I can do text transform, uppercase, do that, and then even if this is written in lowercase, it'll still stay uppercase. So that ensures that the case is always what you want it to be as a designer. So that's a nice little trick, so you don't always have to worry about it when you're writing HTML. All right, I know I have 4 groups of icons, so we're going to say div ID, or we'll go div class icon group, icon GP, oops, times 4. So I have 4 of those. Inside each of these, they're going to have separate IDs, but inside each of these is going to be an array of 100 different icon images. Okay. How we are going to get this done is by using Flex, turning on Flex Wrap, so we don't have to structure the HTML in any particular way, and then just dumping 100 SVGs in here. Okay. And then telling the SVGs to be a certain size. Right. How I'm going to do this practically is I need to get my SVGs. Well, let's try it. We could try it with Font Awesome first, which I think is the method I described on Tuesday. Or not described, but mentioned on Tuesday. And then once we do that, we can do the actual SVGs if you want to use your icons that you have in your document. Let's do the SVGs first. Okay, so I'm going to come back to my XD document. I'm going to grab, are these the SVGs? Are they the, yeah, okay, these are my SVGs. So I'm going to grab all of these. Oops, let's go. Let's see. Icons, icon set SVG. I think what I'm going to need to do is open up the SVG sets. Okay, I have 4 groups. All right. Will it export all of these separately? Let's find out. So I'm going to grab the group. I'm going to go to export. I'm going to go export selected. I am going to, oh, I did export them already. Let's do 2. Let's go to assignments. Let's do examples. There we go. Let's make a folder in here and we'll call it SVGs. And then we will call this icon. We'll call it IC. We'll just call it IC and we'll see what happens. Export as SVGs. We're going to embed them. Yeah. Optimize the file sizes. Minify, it just takes out all the spaces. Well, let's see what this does. That was really fast. Hopefully. Nope, it made it one SVG. It has all of them in it, I bet. Let's load it and see what happens. Let's figure this out. All right, so we're going to type in SVG, and then we will dump that. Nope. Well, you can't. Oh, you know what? I don't need to do that. Don't type in your SVG. Just open up the SVG or select the SVG, hit Command A, copy over here, and paste it. That's how you load an SVG, because an SVG is it's a list of bevels and line weights and everything. This is all of them in one SVG. I don't know that that's a great idea, but I kind of wanted them all as separate SVGs. Yikes. Yeah, I'm not sure that's what I wanted to have happen, but let's see what it looks like. I feel like this can be a giant. Oh, it did it! Hey. Okay, well that might actually be all right. If it will conform to some widths for us. So let's go. Let's go. Div ID, icon group. That's class. Div class icon group. Width, I want to have set at, let's say 49%. Oh, you know, I'm doing the same thing I forgot to do last time, and that's that these icon groups need to be grouped together in a group. So we'll say div ID icon groups. We'll just spell it out there. Paste that, indent it correctly. Okay, great. That div ID icon groups needs to have flex turned on, and then our friend justify content space between. Also a width declared. This should be 100% of its parent. Okay, so this should be 49%. Yeah. Let's grab this SVG, and since our SVG groups are exactly the same, we're going to dump it in all of them. And Adam will take a second because it's so big. And Adam will take a second to apply your syntax highlighting to it. Oof, God, that's huge. Okay, come here. This is annoying. Oh my god, way back up here. All right, so let's collapse that one. That one. Yikes. Oh, did that just crash my file? Please don't crash my file. I would really appreciate it. That did something to my file. There we go. Make sure you save when you do this stuff. Okay, so all of these should be the same. Oh, you know what? I need to turn on flex wrap. Flex wrap. Wrap. Why is flex wrap not working here? This is driving me bonkers. Maybe, oh, I wonder if... Possible yes, likely no. Well, no, I'm sorry, you're right. Yeah, it shouldn't have any margins. Not yet. But it should conform itself to that 49%. And because they're SVGs, they'll scale down without like getting all garbled looking. But they're not, and I think it's in part because I didn't have... Why is my mouse suddenly not working? There we go. Well, I'm not entirely certain why flex wrap is not working here. Because it is definitely breaking these bounds. So let's take, oops, don't block the element. Inspect the element. Icon group is 100% like it should be. Yeah. This is 49% like it should be. But see how, yeah, so the group is, oh, because I'm not telling the SVG what size to be. That's the problem. There we go. Div class icon group SVG width. I didn't tell it, actually we'll say max width. No, not max width, sorry. Width 100%. Okay, now this should make the SVG stay 100% of its parent, which right now it wasn't, it was just being its normal size. Yeah! The spacings are not enough here. There should be a space right here. There should be more space right there. So we are going to reduce our size here to 45. That gives us more space. Maybe that's too much. 48. That is better. We'll play around with this here in a second. I'm not entirely certain. Oh, just because it doesn't match up at the top. Gotcha. Cool. All right. So then the next trick in our bag here is to change the colors. A couple different ways you can do this. There's the brute force way, which is just to add different IDs to each of the groups so that you can affect their color, this is the way we're going to do it. There is a more clever solution using, let's say, pending error and success. Using CSS, but we're not going to mess with it right now. As fun as it would be to do the clever way, we are going to do the brute force way. Because it's a little clearer. Error. Okay, so then we come down here and we say div ID icon pending. And for this, you need to affect SVG stroke. You can't just like set color. So let's look that up so we know what we're doing. SVG stroke. So SVG stroke stroke green. We should be able to just set stroke, but now I'm starting to wonder if not. Let's go CSS SVG. No. Style switch. Solid color. Color profile. It's not border, is it? No, there's no border. Those are elements. Yeah, okay, should be stroke. Stroke. What did I say? What is it? F. What was our red again? Yeah, F. I don't know if that's our red. Let's just look at our XD document. Oh, we're doing pending. FFE971. FFE971. Did I put that in here already? Or status colors. Oh, apparently I have a different color for that. So let's do that one. Keep them consistent. F5AD3A. All right, hopefully this works. Did not work. Oh, ouch, yikes. Okay, so look, this is what it did. It put that, okay. So it made a border around it that was the color. And not what I want to have happen. Dang. That is disappointing. It's that group. G-transform, fill none. So maybe we need to do the G's. Stroke, yeah, we do. We need to say SVG G and then change the stroke on the G. Okay. So div ID icon pending SVG G. So this will go through every SVG inside the div icon pending. Hit the G element inside the SVG, which the G is what has the stroke characteristic applied to it. And that should change the stroke of that one to black. Or to, curse you. Curse you. That should have worked. Oh, that's the rect characteristic. Dang it. But it should have just changed all the strokes inside of there. Well, not change with rect. It could be the way we exported them. Nope, it is the rect. Okay, aw, dang. Aw, shoot. Rect. G. Ellipse. What's the other one? We have Rex. What? Didn't get changed there. Circle. That's the other one. G. Circle. All right. So you see it is changing them. Ooh, it went through all of those. Did we not? Oh, I gotcha. Because you want icon pending stuff. Thanks. Okay. Again, that targets it there. Let's figure out what is going on here. Don't care about this G transform. What's that group? What's that rect? Oh, that's why that's doing it. Ah, shoot. All right. It is how it has to do with how we exported things. trying to think, what is a cleverer way to do this? It's amazing that it won't just do stroke. It's because everything is grouped. So what is the one before it? G-transform, rect. No order to this. It's that one. There's that one. It's that rect. Path. Oh. Okay, so also path. How did that get moved? So I gotta add a path in here too. Aw, dang. And then we'll say G. Oh man, that's almost all of them. So this one has a part of it that is just not wanting to behave. What are you? Lines. Lines, paths, circles, and ellipses, and rects. And we'll say G line. Okay, that gets everything. Unfortunately, it also gets that first group, which we want to ignore. So now I got to think about how to ignore that. So we say G, GG. Nope. So what happens? Okay. What happens if we grab that group, I grab this group, and I tell I would grab this thing. It is okay, so this is getting its color from GG-rect. Let's fix that real quick. G-rect. And so if I do this and I say stroke none, it did not do anything. Oh, it did. It took it off. Okay, so that says stroke none. So what are my... Oh, just do my nth one child stuff. Okay. So this nth one child thing, this is that clever solution I was thinking about. Well, but no. I'm gonna just need to write a separate rule for this and see if it works. We're gonna put it in here. Nth child is a way to kind of programmatically go through your HTML and only apply it to like the first child of something. But what I want to do is have it very, very specific to all of them. So it should be GG rect, and we can pick the first rect. So this should work. And then we'll say stroke none. All right. Nope, did not work. All right. We're gonna export these out a little differently because it's all because of how we exported it. Yikes. Jeez. So in order to fix it, you need to make sure that when you export your group, that all these little groups that I made internally, which are for all the rows, not even just that, I think actually it's like, oh no, it's this group. Shoot. You want everything to be ungrouped, essentially. So like ungroup that, but then all of these icon symbols have a group around them, and we don't want that. So we need to probably break the unlinked components, and then we're going to ungroup them, which is going to create a huge mess. but this is what we want. So then with them marked for export, we're then going to go to export, selected. We're going to replace our IC SVG. We're going to export it, and then we can go back and reload our HTML pages. So we don't have to edit any HTML or CSS because we just copied it over the existing name. And this is either going to work or it's going to create a huge mess. Okay? If it creates a huge mess, we're just going to delete it. Oh, look, it exported them all separately. Oh, that's what I wanted to have happen to begin with. Sort of. Oh, crap. Wait a second. I don't think that's what I wanted to have happen. I think I wanted this to get exported. Dang it. Okay. So it created a huge mess. In our file, we are going to delete these. Let's look at it in the Finder. I'm going to delete everything in here. Okay. And we're going to come back to XD. We're going to grab the group. Mark that group for export. Just select the group. Don't select everything in the group. Export selected. We'll export it as ike.svg. Oh, I hope that saved it as an SVG. I just forgot to change. Yep, there we go. I see SVG. I see SVG is a little different now. Okay, here's hoping it loads. Oh, but did I put it in straight up? I did put it in straight up. Didn't load it. All right, so you're gonna have to delete your SVG that you put in here in your HTML because it isn't referencing the SVG in the SVG folder. I forgot about that. Okay. Over here, copy that, paste it, indent, and then paste it. I'm going to save that and reload my page and see if that actually worked. Okay, it worked. Great. Perfect. So let's come in here and indent, paste. And save that, and we'll see if it saves our color. Oh, shoot. Still have that problem where it's giving the groups around it that color. All right, I'm gonna have to play with this some more and find a more elegant solution. Right now, this is not a great solution. The other thing you can do. Okay, actually, just thought of a more elegant solution. It just hit me. It's like, why am I trying to force this? The other thing you can do is then you can grab your, so we'll call this pending, normal, what is this? Success and error. All right, so the next thing you do, actually, so you just export them like normal in here from, from XD. I spent all that time trying to make one thing work. So pending, SVG, great, perfect. Success, mark it for export, export selected. Actually, if you're doing export selected and you have the group selected, you don't need to do the mark for export. All right. Okay. So then what you do from there is you go to Atom and okay. So I did icon group. Oh no, I did want that pasted in there. So that's my first one. The second one is going to be pending. So I just open up the file, Command A to copy, Command A to select all, Command C to copy. So I'm just loading each individual one in there. Does that make sense? Everybody? Yeah? Okay. We'll go error. And paste that in there. All right, save that. And get rid of all the stupid stuff we wrote about changing colors and trying to take off strokes and all that junk. Just leave our sizing information in there. Refresh it. There we go. Oh, what? I pasted the wrong one in there. Error. Super Mario Brothers song in my head. Oh my god, it's huge. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right. So that's the easy way to do it. Now the background colors, obviously we don't have them set up the same way here. What you can do for that is CSS. That you will need to change. Oh, how big these SVGs are driving me a little. Don't care to see the inside of that SVG, sir. Okay, that'll let you collapse it if you do that. So icon ID error, so like icon group ID error. So div ID icon error. Just do background color. And then change it to whatever you want your background color to be. I think we went with like a dark gray, not necessarily a black. Or did we go with black? Nope. 227. Go ahead and use one of your primaries. So like maybe one of the colors from your color palette. 676767. 676767. And then I'm just going to copy this for the rest of them. This is pending. Do one more for success. Okay. There we go. Notice that color only goes to the bounds. So that space in between that we were doing, we need to actually add padding to all of these now. So class icon group, we can add padding, and we'll do top, right, left padding. Let's go top and bottom padding. We'll just say 2 rems. Should just do 2 rems all the way around. Maybe we'll do 50% here just to get them to butt up against each other. Oof, that did break it. Okay. Let's do 49%. Still broke it. Okay, let's play around with it here. So let's go 45. All right, 45 gets us to where we want to be. Ooh, 45 is too much there. So 46. Nope, 45.5. 45.75. Too much. 65. Too much. 5.5. Too much. Oh god. 45.55. Oh my god, why do you keep it? Oh, I'm hitting the reload button accidentally. Oops. 45.55%. Nope. Percent. 5.3. 5.2. 5.1. 5.1. 5.1. 5.1 got us there. Oh gosh, there's some like crazy margin being applied to this thing. What is that? Why is your height so crazy? Interesting. For some reason, that SVG has a lot of space around the top. I don't know why. Yeah, so you can play around with that. But that gets us pretty close to where we want it to be and what we need it to be. Are there any questions over that? That's a lot to throw at you. Review the recording, for sure. Nobody joined the Zoom, I see. All right. Well, that gets us to where we want to be. There's still some cleanup to do. Like, I would try to figure out how to get this height off of here as soon as I can. But yeah, for the most part, this gets us to an HTML and CSS version of what we built in XD. Okie doke. All right. this is what you need to have done for the critique, which is on Tuesday. Sorry if I destroyed your weekend. It was already destroyed. All right, don't feel so bad. What destroyed it?
Spanish.
Spanish destroyed your weekend? Spanish will do that. Yeah. Okay, what did I say? 45.51. There we go. All right, maybe I'll just do 45. Ugh, Lord. All right, well, anyway, I'm not going to play with it right now. Okay, so yeah, if you don't have any questions, great. If you do, holler at me. You can work for the rest of the class. I'm going to stop the recording now.